I have been in 2 meetings in the last week where we tried to use the owl, and I was online on one of those meetings. And it was very hard to hear. And when we did the public safety meeting, we had some issues with the people that are online being able to hear. So I would recommend speaking into your mic, just so we make sure everybody can hear. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Proof of notification, was it properly posted? Thank you. All right, we have a 13-point agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
All right, motion by Gentis, second by McGuire. I had to think for a second there. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. So we will, item number 4, approval of the September 29th, October 3rd, and October 24th minutes.
Julie has some
Edits?
edits.
So are they spelling and or those?
Spelling.
So
Yep.
I think we can just, if you want to give them to them.
Yeah, one was for September 29th meeting. It's got Jason Glassburner
Instead of Brenner.
instead of Brenner. And then in that same sentence, I'm assuming it's supposed to be compared. Where
Right.
it says mentioned Richland County has few rentals compared to surrounding counties.
Yep.
So it's just a typo, but makes it clear of what it was meant to be.
Any other corrections? All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve them with those typos corrected. So
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction
Thank you.
indicated.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Gentis. Any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Zoning petitions. We will start with the Kenyon petition. If you'd like to give us some background, and then if we have questions, we'll. You want to start with background, Mike?
The background on this is that there is a farmhouse on existing agricultural land, and the house is being split off from the rest of the agricultural land.
You say it is separated
It's being separated out.
Yeah.
How many total acres was it? 2 point. And I'm just going to ask this question because we've kind of been asking if the septic were to fail, do you feel you still have enough room on the property to create a new septic? No concerns with that. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
So, Marty, you own all the land around it, but you're going to separate this? Is that what you're going to do? Oh, yeah. Oh, I know, the old place you don't own, right?
Yeah, there's an old residence there that I understand is gonna be tore down, but this parcel will go tight to that parcel and then go east and encompass the house that I proposed to have it rezoned.
Yeah. I'll move to accept the rezoning.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Gentis, second by Fleming. Any other discussion or questions?
And this has been approved by Buena Vista.
Yeah, that was at the bottom of it.
Mhm.
I believe there was a note from the town clerk
Yeah.
saying it was approved. All right, any other questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, it's been approved. Thank you for coming.
Mhm.
All right, that brings us to item 5B, GAV Ventures LLC petition.
If anyone's here to represent GAV. No guest is at all.
So,
With people webbing on, we don't know who guest is at all. So if there's anyone here that's going to represent GAV. Otherwise, I say postpone it.
Okay. So,
Can I just ask a question? Or no?
sure, I mean, well, we haven't made a motion to bring it before us, so
Okay.
we probably shouldn't discuss it if we're going to postpone, although we will need a motion to postpone. So I'm just going to repeat that. So the person who is on WebEx that is logged in as guest, if you are the party that is concerning the GAV Ventures, we would just need you to let us know that you are present. Otherwise, we are going to postpone this matter until next meeting. Okay, we're going to go ahead. And so I guess, I need to officially postpone it, right? Yeah, so because it's on there, will someone make the motion to postpone?
Okay, I make a motion to postpone the
Thank
GAV.
Thank you.
I'll
So-
second.
All right, motion by Gentis, second by Fleming. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we will postpone that till next time. Mike, are you letting people know that they can appear on WebEx if it's more convenient?
I haven't been.
Okay, I
I
mean,
want people to come to the meetings.
well, okay. All right, so that brings us to, oops, sorry, now I just got into the wrong thing. I cannot believe it's November. All right, item number 6, wildlife damage budget approval for the DNR. Yep, you're on.
Okay, I'd like for the new people, this is Greg Servin. The county contracts with Greg Servin to do our wildlife damage.
Oh,
Aye.
hi.
He contracts with Crawford, Richland, and Grant
Correct.
to do wildlife damage assessments. So he comes every year to talk about what the budget will be for the
Yeah, it's an in-out account.
Look-
I don't know how much you guys have.
I think you actually should why don't you explain the program, because
Okay.
I'm the only one that
That
has
really
ever
knows
heard it.
about it at
Yep,
this point,
yep,
yeah.
so please feel free to take a few minutes to
The deer damage program is something that is in-out account to the county. I had the contract with the county. The county has the contract is contracted by the DNR to do the deer damage. Well, it's wildlife damage. It's deer, geese, turkeys, sandhill cranes, cougars, elk, and sometimes wolves when they're legally able to be controlled, are in the program, and bear. And my role in this is to basically, the farmers have to contact me when they have damage to their crops. I go out and see that, what kind of damage they're having, make sure it's wildlife that is in the program, sign them up accordingly. Especially with deer, they can get shooting permits at that point if there's $1,000 or evidence of $1,000 damage happening to their crops. Then they can get shooting permits to shoot deer out of season. If they want compensation for their damage, they have to be notifying me within 14 days of first damage so that we can try whatever abatement possible to stop their damage during the growing season. And then I also appraise the crops for what's lost by taking a yield sample in the area that's not damaged compared to what is, figuring out the amount of acres damaged, and then that can be compensated by DNR, but it comes through this committee again also. This committee sets the price, which we'll do next month. So you'll see me again next month. But we set the price for the commodities at that point to what I have appraised for this year. Once that's done, then I fill out the claim forms for it, and you then have to approve those claims that they've met the requirements. And basically, in our situation here in Richland County, they're required to shoot 80% of their deer by the end of the year, or by September 15th, actually. And then if they've met that requirement, they can be paid for the loss of damage. If they did not, it is this committee that gets to say, no, we're not going to approve that claim at that point.
Then, and back a number of years ago, from Melissa was on the committee at that time said that if they do not meet all the shooting requirements, the county does not approve they kind of made a policy that.
We made a policy that automatically, it'll be a denial. They don't get to petition it. It's just a denial to their
And they
claim.
are also required to open their land up to public hunting, correct?
Correct. That's part of the program. If they're going to get paid, it has to be. They can also get tags. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
They can also get tags to shoot deer. But if they do not accept a claim, then it's not public hunting. They don't have to have public access to that ground. But if they are accepting a claim, they do have to have public hunting on their property.
Essentially, they're trying to encourage them to get rid of the deer that are making the damage that we're having to
Sure.
pay out for.
Correct.
So can they shoot those deer anytime, or do they have to do it during season, or is it?
No, this is anytime from when they get
Okay,
their
good.
tags until the end of the year. They
Yeah.
can use them for antlerless deer. They can't take those.
And
big-
can they hire somebody to do it instead of
They
that?
can, they could, but it's not intended to be that way. They
Uh-huh.
cannot charge anyone to, hunt on their property.
Right,
And anyone who then asks is allowed to go hunting on their property. They do not
Yeah.
have to find someone to do it,
Mm.
but if people come and ask, they then,
and so when you set the commodities, is that by the Board of Trade or the local co-op, or what price do you decide
the
on?
pricing that I use is I basically look up what the river price is,
Yeah.
what Muscadet is charging, the different local
Yeah.
markets that these farmers most likely will be hauling their crops to.
Okay, so not the futures or anything?
No.
Yeah.
This is local, as local as we can get for us, that these, most farmers would be taking their crops to.
So today, what we are approving is,
Our budget for next year.
okay, and just to explain what he means by pass-through, so literally the state gives us the exact amount we need that we're gonna pay him. So we get it from the state and then we pay him. There's no, it's not coming from the county budget or the county levy. It's all state money that's just administratively going through us.
And once we get moved and get everything set up, I'll have Greg email that to us so we can post it on
Okay,
what's being handed out. We just didn't have.
You didn't have it available, making.
that's okay. That's fine. That's fine.
I do have a couple questions. You mentioned quite a few other animals. What do they do as far as some of them? Let's say it's geese that's causing damages. What do they try to do there to?
With geese, there is a few options, because we've had issues with them over like by Bear Valley.
Mhm.
Bothersome. What they've done for the most part is gotten egg nest deprivating permits, so that they can smash eggs in that area to try to control the numbers over there. Because it is a federal thing, the state can't just issue tags on them, but we can try to stop the nesting.
And then one of the animals that you didn't mention was coyotes. Did you just miss that by mistake? Or did I
No,
not catch it?
you can shoot coyotes without a permit. And
Okay.
basically, these are animals all that are regulated by the
regulated.
state.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Raccoon and coyotes, squirrels, rabbits, that kind of stuff, they are not included.
Okay.
and bear is more.
You mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, bear are in it.
So they would be able to shoot a bear?
No, we trap them. And
Okay.
actually, was it 2 years ago, Captain?
We tried to trap
We
him by
tried to
Kiefer.
trap him, but he was smarter than us. Um,
I mean, I've heard of them around here going in bird feeders and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
But
Right.
there were like,
But the beehives, right? Get
hives, and then
destroyed.
sometimes in corn,
Yeah.
in
And that's where our bears have been an issue for us, and we've probably had about 7 claims already on bear in Richland County.
Mhm.
And so what happens there is we try to trap the bear and move them basically 3 or 4 counties away. And
Think it's someone else's problem?
So, basically, it's, because again, there's a lot of regulation on shooting bear and
Right.
especially down south there where the numbers are low. So DNR doesn't want to shoot them unless they become a dangerous issue to humans.
So do we have much cougar claims? I'm
We
assuming
have
that's
never
killing
had a
livestock?
complaint.
That's killing calves or something?
Yeah, nothing
Jeremy?
there. We've had wolf issues with calves, but we've never had
In Richland County?
once.
That's kind of awesome, actually. I wish we had wolves.
And of course, it was during the time when the feds had stopped any control of that, so the program paid for the loss of the calves.
Mm.
Hmm. Interesting.
But
Okay.
there's no deprivation.
All right. So this is the budget that,
Mhm.
and so this is the amount we submit to DNR, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'll let Dave Turkin know.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I'll read this. So the budget contains $1,200 for county administration and $1,500 in administrative overhead, $12,000 in salaries, $2,000 in mileage, $2,500 in abatement, and $2,000 in venison donation for a total of $21,200. And again, this is pass through. We get this from the DNR and then we pay it out. All right. Anyone, well, would someone like to make a motion? Go for it, Linda.
Okay, I move we approve the budget for the Richland County WDACP
Yeah, Cap.
net cap.
Yeah, budget, please.
I'll
Or
second.
the- All right, so motion by Dentist, second by Turk. Any other questions on the program or the budget?
What is the venison donation?
I was gonna say that one. We left that
Is
in.
that the same?
In the past, we have had Richland Locker.
Mhm.
Hunters can donate their deer to the Richland Locker. The program pays for the processing of that venison. And then it goes to, basically to the Richland Food Pantry. Yeah, but for the last 2 years now, Craig has not been able to keep up and has not done the venison program. But he said if things get better, he'll come back into it, so we leave his budget point in there. So that if he can, we will. So
And so if we don't spend that 2,000, does it just go back to the state?
It just,
it
well,
never goes out of the state. I mean,
it stays there until we ask for
Ask
reimbursement.
for it, okay.
yeah,
All right.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
Oh,
All those in,
thank you. It's very interesting.
it's a good program for the farmers to, compensate. And the other thing that I guess I didn't say, there is a $2 surcharge off every license that's sold by DNR that comes to this program to pay for it. And that's paying for the venison as well as the overhead and compensation to farmers for loss. And I've been doing it 31 years now. And we've never run into a point where we came very close one year, but never came into a point where we didn't have enough money in the funds to keep paying the program needs. So it's a good program.
all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you very much.
I need your signature on
Okay.
that one. I give you another one if you want to keep one.
Probably we should have you come back and talk about CWD efforts as well at some point. Because you're the dumpster,
No, I don't deal with that.
you don't deal with it at all? Okay,
DNR's got a different department.
okay.
Mhm.
Just like he was the local one that came, no, who was that came and talked to us? Oh, Doug.
Doug
Dave-
Duran.
Doug, that's who it was, sorry. Totally forgetting. All right, so I'm signing under the county, right?
Yes.
All right. And it's the 7th today?
Yes.
Yep. All right, yep. All right. Thank you so much for your time. All right, I'm going to check in one more time. We have a person joining by phone. I just want to make sure that you are not on the phone to represent GAV Ventures LLC's petition.
Nope, this is me, Melissa, Administrator Langrick. I was having
Oh.
trouble connecting audio with my computer, so I connected via phone.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure one more time, just in case. All right, so that's moving on. Item number 7, proposed recommendations for the 2024 budget cuts. I don't think there's anything really to discuss on here. I hope you saw what was submitted to, the one thing that you guys hadn't seen was the Register of Deeds response.
Yes.
And I just added it because I hoped it was appropriate, and if it wasn't, I hope that you would say something to me before finance, but,
I saw it. It was fine.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be a program that will create additional revenue, and they're pretty confident, so.
Yeah, they don't know yet, but.
They don't know yet, but I think we don't know anything. I mean, this entire budget process is a bunch of guessing about what might happen in the next couple of years, so, So that brings us to STRs, recreational short-term rental property information. I haven't done anything on this. I apologize, but the public safety response to the budget stuff has been all-consuming and I just submitted that report last night. So I will make sure that we get that back into our focus.
I sent you some
Yep.
things again.
Yep.
I want to go through and look at permits and stuff like that. I didn't write anything up like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my mind, I was thinking that would be a really good project for us for like December, January, February to try to get a
Yeah.
good feel as to what we wanted, how we want to proceed.
So do you want to wait till December to put this back on?
I think that's okay. I mean, we've had a lot going on, and it's
Everybody has.
yeah, and it's just I feel a little bit
Well, December, January,
yeah, it would be. I mean, I don't want to rush. I think we want to get as much information as possible, and I just have not had the capacity to do any more research on it right now. So,
Totally understand.
okay, so that brings us to the GIS sanitation position / contract. So I will give you a brief update of what I spoke with, after the last meeting, I spoke with Administrator Langrick and MIS about the concerns they raised with the email that was essentially our RFP. And so we determined that we could start by trying to talk with Lynn a little bit more and with the other property lister to find out, to try to get some information of what steps they took to get from A to B, from a property change coming in to it being entered into the maps that the dispatchers might look at and everything in between. And so he was working on that. And
Clint was working on that.
Clint is working
Yeah.
on that. I have not talked to him recently to find out
Yeah.
what. And then once we do that, or the other option, if they are not able to help us out with that, the other option would be that there are other counties that have gone through during COVID, like Sauk County made some pretty significant changes in their GIS and how and there was some thought that maybe another county, we could ask another county if they'd be willing to come in and really just give us a roadmap of how we get from point A to point B and making sure how you catch that there's no mistakes and things like that. So that was sort of left, and I will touch base with Administrator Langrick. Administrator Langrick, do you want to comment on this at all? Have you made any headway in?
Today we're reaching out to see if we can get all the different parties involved that touch on it or know about it to see if we can coordinate for a time. Having trouble at the present to pin down a date, but still trying to pursue an option where we do have folks internally and MIS and MSA or contract folks also involved in trying to sort out what it all looks like. So like I said, going to see if we can try to pin it down through a meeting like that. If we cannot, then establish what the map looks like and all the pieces that get touched and where it gets stored and all the pieces that who's the end user for them. If we can't sort all that stuff out, then we'll look to see if we can find some other means of arriving at that. And again, it's my understanding that's all kind of put in context to understand what the flow is. So when writing the RFP, we have an idea of exactly what we're asking for in services, if that still sounds all true.
Yes, that's exactly the point. So one of the feelings we were getting with how can we write an RFP if we aren't even sure of what we're asking, what to ask for. And so it seemed like it was appropriate to take a step back and try to figure that process out and then send out an RFP that we could send out to at least the two that we already have had contact with, and then if there's anyone else that people have dealt with. So, and then I also saw that there was an application, a potential application for the GIS position that came across my email. Did you see that? Well, I don't want to say the name necessarily, but I had gotten an email from Barb saying that there's an Indeed. There's someone that applied over Indeed that looked promising. No? Okay. I mean, we're still trying, I mean, the entire process, even if we're doing contract, we're still looking to see if we can find someone to fill it full time as a position. But So my goal is to have the RFP out in December sometime so that we could, if we're going to do a long-term contract, that we could start January 1st. In the meantime, MSA or
That's what I was gonna say. Is MSA?
they're
going
doing what we
to
need
pick
them
up-
to do right
You
now.
talk to them about that, or?
Yes, and Mike, they're currently filling in for what we need, right, to get us through until. Oh, okay. But we've given them the information they need to, okay, so we're, at the very
Okay.
least, we don't have things piling up. They'll get us through until we figure out how we want to solve this solution long-term. All right. So now we need to review the questions from the Land and Water Board.
On the 6th of December, Melissa and I, we're supposed to be there at 9 o'clock, are going to go to the Wisconsin State Land and Water Conservation Board for the plan. And these questions are things that I'm had to answer. And I gave it to you ahead of time because I'm not going to read it all, but it's just, we're supposed to list our accomplishments within the last 5 years and how they can be directly traced to the plan. And like I said, our accomplishments that we did, they were addressed in activities in the last plan we did and the last 5 work plans. Every year we have to do a work plan update, which I'll be working on this winter and present to you guys. Just some highlights, we did the well abandonments. We've been really working on those, which is, I mean, it's win-win. The landowner gets rid of the old well and we lose a conduit to the groundwater.
We protect our groundwater.
We protect our groundwater. We've been working with landowners, farmers, producers on nutrient management classes, trying to get them to be able to do their own plan. We've been working with the invasive species, and then we've been working with we've worked with the City of Richland Center in the past. We've worked with Hub Rock. We're working with Hub Rock. We're currently working with the Germantown Casanova one, and we may be working with Boaz to try to.
So do you guys know what phosphorus trading is? So when you have a
Is that the
treatment
runoff
plant,
for lakes
yeah,
or
so like when you have a treatment plant, like a sanitation treatment plant,
Yeah,
and they are putting what they expel has phosphorus in it. And sometimes they can only lower it to they just can't get it any lower, but it still isn't low enough to meet the standards. What they can then do is pay for us to riprap an entire section. So riprap is putting stones on a stream bank so that it can't erode and you don't get all of the dirt and phosphorus from the soil going into that water. And so they will pay to have that done to reduce the phosphorus load from there because they can't get it any lower from what they're expelling into the water,
So it goes into the soil. Where does it go?
Well, phosphorus stays with the soil. It doesn't leach. Like nitrogen will leach.
Yeah.
Phosphorus doesn't leach. It just kind of stays with the soil. So as soil erodes, and where does soil go when it erodes? It eventually ends up near this, in our case, it's near the streams.
It's the sludge in the streams.
And so what we're trying to do is prevent the stream banks.
Okay, so the
From
phosphorus
eroding.
stays with it. Because that's a big problem with the lakes in Madison. It was
Yep.
a problem with the Lafarge, why they didn't do the Lafarge River.
When they have
Lake.
big runoff
Yeah.
of silt, essentially,
Yep.
that's when the phosphorus load in the water
Okay,
will
I
go up
didn't know
because
it
the silt
stayed
is
with
floating
the-
around in the water,
I didn't know it stayed with the soil.
So we kind of help out with the designing, finding the
riprap.
landowners, helping with so that's where our accomplishments. And the next question basically kind of says, where we were unable to make desired progress in implementing activities, and so let's explain why. And we've had for years, we always did contour strips and contour buffer
I
strips.
didn't even think about the big equipment making that harder to do.
It's really hard because people are going
Yeah.
with bigger equipment. We're working with a lot of people going to cash grain. They don't want that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to try to find new methods to
Or the cover cropping, we really.
cover cropping is
yeah.
where we're probably
So
going.
in our new plan, did we put in there a goal of trying to increase our cover crop education and I can't remember.
I think somebody would try to have a field day. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might be something, although it's really hard because the cash crop people are not necessarily the ones that.
Well,
are-
it's surprising. We've had a couple of people stop in and there may be, so I think,
Is there a
that's-
cash crop? Is there a cost sharing for cover crops?
to the feds.
Yeah, so maybe that's.
That's what they, we could work
yeah,
with.
we need to
Although we're,
work with to try to encourage,
although we're not with them anymore, we may be able to work with them about,
you're not in the same building with them anymore,
yes,
you mean?
that's what I meant. So it's not as easy for us to, but I mean, that's
Right.
what.
Not
And
to use the
then-
telephone.
And then, nutrient management plans, those up, they're up and down. We were trying to get more people. Some of it is, it's expensive for people to hire somebody to do it, so we're, hopefully, once we get the new conference room going, we can maybe work on getting some more classes held and try to get more people in the wintertime to sit down and we've been doing a lot of one-on-one, like they've started one and we've just gone through and helped them finish, show them how to do it. So that's, and then we've also, like Southwest Tech has some classes, and so I've been pushing it through the social media, doing that. The next question was describe the county's approach to implementing its priority farm strategy. Priority farm is, okay, are we going to be where we target a lot of effort and how it's funded. And our first priority is like new landowners interested in farmland preservation. That's an easy one. They want the program, they have to get in compliance with that program. Another one is complaints. We get a complaint. That's another case to go in and talk to them.
Complaints are usually manure related, are they not?
Correct.
Yeah.
Then we've not done any working with landowners that are getting permits for like manure storage,
Mhm.
getting them and make sure they're in compliance with this,
In our 151?
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My brain was not working this day. And we've not done any inventory, but if time and staff allow, that's something, it'd be nice to be able to do. I put in there, we're continue to evaluate our strategies and to make improvements, see where improvements can be made. We've just moved offices and now collating with zoning. We may have better access to some of the tracking using the GIS. Now that we're co-located instead of trying to do it via the web, we'll have to see how that goes. And then the fourth question was provide examples to show how changes in direction in the land and water plan in the recent years. I said we're putting more emphasis on well abandonments, stream crossings, and animal trails and walkways for livestock to use. Trying to get livestock not to sit in the stream, stay in the stream, erode the stream banks, try to get them across.
Not to poop in the stream.
Well, they can't, yeah.
They're always in the Pine River.
And then we still talk about adding well testing. We don't know if there'll be money or anything available, but maybe there's a way to.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we might have to do moving forward with that would be to just facilitate, like we won't
Correct.
pay for it, but we can facilitate, we can advertise, we can get all the sample bottles here, we can take that we did that once before where we didn't pay for it, but I took the samples up there, so that it wasn't, it didn't have to be a part of our budget, and yet we could encourage people by making it as convenient as possible for people to do it.
Yep.
That was good.
And then working with sanitary districts, addressing invasive species. And the last thing we had to talk about is where we have examples of climate change, where we're addressing climate change. And then I said we discussed climate change in general on a few of the pages. And we have a couple pages where we're working with a big group of people about doing possible stream restoration work on Fancy Creek, actually on Maryland Loft Hauk and Paul and Lola Higgins' property to Fancy
pretty
Creek.
exciting.
Fancy Creek was
It
ditched
changed, yeah.
in the 1940s.
Right.
And what happened was when it was somehow the stream moved to the ditch and out of the stream bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so by working on that section, the old stream bed is still there. It's just higher. So they're working on getting a system to get the stream bed back into the Fancy Creek, back in its old stream bed, into the meanders and into its floodplain. So instead of Fancy Creek zooming down the stream
Through,
through
yeah.
the ditch, it'll be spread out
understand.
and prevent flooding further downstream.
And they're working on grants for that. And Southwest Regional Planning Commission has been heavily involved in getting that grant written.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the other place we talked about was climate change. The forester helped us, and she wrote in some stuff um, in the forest section. So,
I just learned, I didn't realize that there are some counties are selling trees that specifically will do better in what was predicted for Wisconsin as far as changes in our temperature and our water, how much it rains and when it rains and things like that. So they've actually targeted certain species of trees in their tree sales that they think will be more resilient to these changes that are coming.
and we've been working we'll have to wait for the new forester to come, but like next year, working with them about the tree sales.
Yeah, I didn't even occur to me that that's a great
We always
idea
have to
though.
look at our list and see
Yeah.
what's,
Do you have that? Are you gonna have that list?
Tammy's working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we do a tree sale every year, or we have. Last year we didn't because the nursery we've used was,
Well, and this year we didn't do it because of, trees weren't available,
right, yeah.
so.
But yeah, so I mean, and I also didn't realize that there are some trees that sequester CO2 better than others and more than others. And so there are some things that through our tree sales, we can be encouraging landowners to plant specific trees that will be, more helpful and more resilient. So,
And
cool.
this does not need any approval, I just was supposed to present it to you,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be on the hot seat though. I'm a little nervous. I hope they don't yell at us.
Do you think they will? I mean,
Well, they got mad. They did get mad one year because Kathy went alone, and or it had been multiple times, or well, it was probably just once. Yeah, but Kathy went alone, and the chair at the time didn't go with her, and they didn't like that, so they made her come back with the chair.
whoa.
So, yeah. So I mean, I'll for sure be there.
You spend a lot of time writing up good reports.
I mean, that document is actually a really good document. It's a lot of work, but it really does lay things
and
out
that's my
really
last one, I will not do any more.
well. You have
That's why
10
years,
10
I'll be
years, yeah.
68, I'm not gonna do it.
Well, it's set us up really well for the next 10 years. So, all right. Anything else on that? Anyone have any questions? Yeah.
You said you received complaints. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And do you have a policy to deal with those complaints, or do you handle it yourself, or do you revert them to a committee?
They can't hear you.
Oh, you have to talk into the mic.
Um,
She can repeat the question.
Dan was asking about, how we handle complaints. Well, we have a policy. What happens? Well, first thing we do is, we haven't had one for quite a while, but if we get a complaint about, usually it's manure.
Spreading manure specifically.
Spreading manure has been.
Or runoff manure.
Yeah, and so we go out and look at it. I and my staff, usually there's two of us that go out. I just feel more comfortable with two of us, so we both can see what's going on, take pictures. And then we usually contact the landowner and say, or the landowner producer that this happened to, and say, okay, we have to call the DNR, let them know that this happened, but you need to
if it meets
criteria. If not, we talk to them and say, okay, this is some things you need to do. You need to put up some berms. You need to divert that, keep that from going into the stream.
many people think that you can't spread manure in the winter, when they drive by and see white snow and that's not actually true. NR 151 is that defines. So there's a state standard that
do it then.
There's certain, okay, you can do it, but there's certain criteria. It can't be over a certain slope. If it's over a certain slope, it has to have certain criteria. It's not necessarily snow covered, it's frozen ground, they call it. So basically end of November, December, January, February, March. And then April, if we have a lot of spring runoff.
Wait, what December, January, February, March? What? No.
Those are ones that they prefer you not spread, but
Okay.
like liquid manure, like daily
Yeah.
haul,
Yeah.
then you have to meet certain criteria. It'd be over 300 feet from a stream. There's certain criteria. So we go out and look at these and say, okay, is it a problem or it isn't a problem? And if it is a problem, we first contact either the landowner or the producer, whoever's doing the spreading, talk to them. And if it becomes a problem, then we have to talk to the DNR. The other complaint that we give to DNR is actual runoff events and manure runoff events. We're dealing with two right now that had runoff events, both along Highway 60 And
the
so we're
sands.
working with, the DNR, we're working with Department of Ag, to kind of fix the problems, their continual problems, or how we fix those problems.
So to answer your question, Dan, the DNR is the enforcement arm.
Because that's the one complaint that I've heard several times. Extreme smell.
The smell,
It actually is a deal. More so than it would be the county, don't you think?
yes, we're kind of the conduit, and we're the ones that, like, we have these.
You monitor, but you don't enforce. You monitor and then inform if there needs to
Right.
be enforcement.
But our biggest role is just, we're the kind of the go-between between DNR and the landowner.
And also, we're there to help the landowner come in compliance. I think that's more what you feel your role is always. It's not to go in there guns blazing. It's more, this is a problem, but we're here to help you fix it. We'll give you the information you need. We can set you up with some cost sharing program potentially. I mean, there's many ways that we can be helpful in trying to fix the problem and not just say you're bad. You're a bad person. You're doing it wrong.
Before it gets to
I
this,
think we want to see you have to tie up all your time policing this. You know?
right.
Yeah, and that's been
So the other big thing, these two that we're working on, it was a year ago. These both happened. So we've been working with the DNR and the Department of Ag engineering staff. I don't know if the technical term is, have been helping us to design things and then work on getting cautioning through the DNR to help them.
get the in practice in place.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question. So as to what you were saying, you were talking about runoff and complaints about that, but what about the extreme smell? Is that something that anything can be done about, or?
That
I
is
also
more,
hear those same complaints.
yeah, and
That's a touchy one.
that's a
Yeah.
touchy one, and it's very, what you think is smelly, somebody else may not think it's smelly. And there's no way to quantify that. You can't put a thing in the air and saying, okay, this is.
There aren't any actual regulations about smell, are there?
No.
I don't think NR 151 talks about smell at all, at least as far as I know.
The only thing would come in is if they're a larger farm, would they have a permit? It can be put in, I don't know if there's anything they can be put in there every time they get, sorry about that. Anytime they get their CAFO, their confined animal feedlot permit renewed, but that's a DNR thing, it's not us.
We don't approve those. So what you're saying is the DNR could potentially put something in there about they need to take care of their manure so often to keep the smell at some sort of level? I've never heard of that actually being forced though.
It's really hard to control smell. There can be ways of agitation, maybe when they go to spread, and they clean out their pits. That's the biggest time.
I mean, the pits just are disgusting. I mean,
It's anaerobic, the stuff underneath, and that's always smelly. Doesn't matter if it's city, like City Richland Center, whenever they, how it smelled, they came in town, it's the same thing with the it's anaerobic. And then sometimes there's some additives they can put in, but nothing's been found to really control odor.
Any other questions? All right. I mean, we don't have to take any action. That was just a kind of to keep us all informed.
So when are you going?
December 6th, right? December 6th.
I just got sent the
I
invitation.
mean, anyone's welcome to come if you want
It's
to.
okay, you're doing a good job.
I just got sent the invitation today via email, and the actual, you put on the calendar invite. I said, please send it to me at my new one because it won't do me good to put on this calendar.
Will you forward that to me though, so that I
Yes.
forget? Well, you'll remind me anyway, right? Ooh, I'd hate to forget that. That'd be bad. All right. So that brings us to public comment. Anyone online like to comment? All right, future agenda items. So I think we still have the STR conversation that we're going to have. I don't know if at some point you guys want to talk any further about downstairs and how this is all going to work, or you guys just want to figure it out?
Look today, since we're done early, or is it?
I've got a key.
We
No.
can't as a group because
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
on our agenda.
Then forget it.
Yeah, But if you'd like to go after, I've been down there and actually went there a couple days
Well,
ago
I
just to
think
see.
you want to go home, so we can go another.
I'm not going back to the office. I'm gonna do stuff in their room, so if you wanna stop in while I'm down there.
Could
Okay,
it be next month's agenda item?
Sure, because when is the plan to move?
He's gonna help us. Tomorrow we're moving our big stuff.
Do you need help?
Up to you. And then Wednesday, supposedly MIS is gonna hook up at least our computers, is what they were talking, and our phones.
Sure.
I mean, that's what Barb and Jason had said. We talked,
Because you need your phones, right?
if we're out fuel phones for a couple days, I guess we're out for a couple days, I don't know. We'll be moving and then we'll be sorting stuff, and then we gotta help him move his stuff down, and
Okay. All right, any other future agenda items that we
what's
want
going on?
That GAV ventures, I'm
There's only
assuming that.
so much
That's gonna go on the
stuff
next one.
that's
Yeah,
going
that'll
on.
be, yeah, Michael, get that on there. All right.
Yeah, talk to Jason about this after.
Oh, it's okay. We're done. I just needed a motion to
And
adjourn.
He'll do a timing thing on it.
you talked about the next meeting, he said.
Oh, yes, we
Yeah.
do have to talk about the next meeting date though, because I
Okay.
actually have a conflict.
Oh,
Because
hang on, wait.
county board is happening on the second Tuesday,
Yeah, the
that
13th, right?
means we would have to meet on the 28th of November, and I will be in Vegas.
Wait a minute.
You can't go to Vegas and have a good time. Did the rest of
I already
the-
bought my tickets.
Wait a
I
minute,
didn't
wait a
know
minute.
this meeting was gonna be then.
We're meeting the 13th for the county board.
Right, but he has publishing deadlines that he has to meet.
Oh,
Which have to be 10 days before.
Yes, or something
oh,
like that.
so
the
the 5th
would
is
not
too
be.
early? I mean,
which
not
is too
early
late.
enough, too late?
Because I was assuming it was gonna be the 5th, which is
Me
why
too, I already wrote it down.
I wasn't worried about my schedule, not thinking about what he needs to do to meet.
So
So
when did you want to know?
When are you back?
I'm back the 30th. But did you already put in the date, publish the date?
For what day?
So I just have to make sure that at least you four are here, Dave and.
Yeah, but I don't want to do I want to do can I talk?
Yeah, please, go for it.
Sorry.
Was I looking at you or something?
I want to do the short-term rentals when you're here.
I agree.
I
And
think,
so-
I think January would be
But we sort of like to get started of the year.
I'm really sorry. I didn't know until today that the 28th
No,
was going to be the meeting,
yeah.
and I have already scheduled. I mean, we have our flights, and can't change it. I mean, and maybe I could attend online, but I really don't want
I
to.
would not like to have it on the 28th. I mean, I have made
he's already got it published.
I made two other things that day.
I know. I don't know what to do about that.
You
Um,
can unpublish.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, is the 30th?
He's got it in the paper, so he has to pay another fee for that. That's the problem.
Well, I really don't want it. I mean, I'm the vice chair and I know some, but I didn't know it was the 28th either, and the 30th is okay with me. Is that enough time?
So you sent it to the newspaper today?
Say the 30th of November.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
Can't you cancel it from them?
That works.
Well, I think we're looking at the 28th, because the 28th is what got published for the paper. But you're not able to come the 28th?
I don't want the 28th, for me.
I can come any of those days.
But if you just sent it today, can't you call them right away and retract it?
It's so hard to get along with all the time.
I've been in every for the last year except one.
I mean, I can attend by WebEx and I can share the meeting by WebEx if I have to. I won't be happy about it, but I'll do it. Well,
So how come we did that before we had the meeting?
yeah, I guess what we need to do, so this happens every year, huh? And yeah, when we had the Labor Day one, we should have talked because I didn't know that we changed. I didn't. Okay. Then we'll plan on the 28th, and I will make sure I'm available.
I said what? You said you can make it? I can make it the 28th or the 30th.
I can make the 28th.
Dave,
Yes. Yes.
let's go ahead and set it for the 20th, because if worst case scenario, I can attend remotely on the 28th. So we'll go ahead and we'll leave it at the 28th at 3 o'clock. And,
Yeah, if something changes, I'll try to come, but I can't promise.
okay. And
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on the 28th of November.
And what time
Okay.
is that in Vegas?
I have no idea. Yeah, right? That's going to mess me up. Are they 2 hours? No, they're on mountain time, aren't they? So
Well, I
1 hour?
don't know
I have
right
no
now.
idea. I'll figure it out.
Okay, so no zoning on the 5th.
No. All right. Anything else? I think. Did we do a secretary with this one or just chair and vice chair?
No.
No, she's vice chair.
she's
Who's,
vice.
you know who was secretary? Did we pick one for this committee? I don't either.
I think it was you, wasn't
I know, but we usually have a
Yeah,
county
vice
board
chair
member be a
secretary.
designated secretary and then they dump it on. Supervisor Turk, do you remember if we chose a secretary? I can look back at the minutes.
I do
That
not
would be-
remember.
That would be who?
Well, you want us to go back and look on a meeting
No,
day?
that's okay. Supervisor Turk, would you be willing to chair if I can't, for some reason, if I don't make it?
Yes, I would be willing to do that.
Okay, so if Linda's not here, we'll designate Supervisor Turk to run the meeting.
So can we put the other on for the January then?
Yeah, we'll have to.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So then I guess we just need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn to November 28th at 3 o'clock for the next regular meeting.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Thank you.
Next Monday,